Man, indie games feel dime a dozen now.
I'm the trash!
We're not in the age of Shovel Knight anymore, where a pseudo 8-bit platformer was a rare commodity. Now, almost everybody and their grandma is trying to make the next Cave Story, Doom, blah blah blah, insert other game here. And you already get it. Since more people nowadays are learning how to code, it's making the indie game market be loaded to the point where it's even making AAA companies cower in fear. A great example of that would be Palworld.
I sue your ass and your balls!
Mamma mia!
I mean, I could talk for hours upon hours about how the indie game market is now loaded with FPS games by the thousands. You got your GZ Doomwas that are so modified to the point they don't even look like a Doomwad anymore, like that one horror-based one called Total Chaos. Or that other one starring an orc hybrid chick in a pseudo diesel punk setting called, Heated. Also does Turbo Overkill, Cruelty Squad, Unturned, Angerfoot, Scorn, Golden Light, and maybe Level Company, I guess, because it has a shotgun. Oh, and did I forget to mention Ultra Kill? Oh my Keanu Chunk is trans right, Reeves! I love Ultra Kill! It's totally not an overbloated Quake line that puts style over substance!
He's terrible!
Yeah, you get the point here. Boomer shooters are overflowing the market, and most of them take way too much influence from Quake or modern Doom. And don't get me started with how much slop is made in the RPG side of indie games. I'm not Nitrorad, so that isn't my thing besides Lisa the Painful and Aoni. I just know there's a lot of slop in that scene due to how easy RPG Maker is to use.
Leave me alone!
As for indie platformers, I just don't really see all that much hype behind them nowadays. Maybe Ukulele soured a taste after how empty of a game it was, and A Hat in Time is just fading into irrelevancy even after releasing a free DLC mode that was just Left 4 Dead Zombies mode.
I ever tell you about the time my buddy Keith and I were on the top of...
I mean, I guess when Freedom Planet 2 was released, there was a lot of talk about it and how it was a good game. Can't wait for another forever to pass by for the third one to release, though. I don't know, but I feel like I'm forgetting something here. It's on the tip of my tongue like tomato sauce on spaghetti.
Pingas!
Oh yeah, Pizza Tower happened, and I think it's overrated. Look, it's a good platform and all, and has great music too, but I'll elaborate why I don't like it much later. Today I'm going to be talking about an indie platformer that I just found out about when browsing YouTube out of all things. From a channel called Phil's Horrible World, and not a lot of people are talking about it besides him. A pseudo-parody platformer that has a lot of slapstick comedy, a good story, and for some reason, speed-based Kirby-like gameplay. And the name of this game being Frebbventure.
From Kino!
So, what is Freb even about? Who is this yellow cat man with the face of a duck? What are his motivations? What are his goals? What are his morals? Who is this Freb? Well, let me tell you with the game's opening cutscene. The game starts with this big old green guy and his basic tier kitsune chick just grooving and having a good time at this massive party. Frogman is just going at it, like, look at this dude zoom, and I don't know what dance Foxily over here is doing, maybe Social Climber from Fortnite. And this party is so massive, it makes so much noise to the point where other bits of land can hear it, and it soon bothers the main protagonist himself. This is Fred Flimpus, a cranky, hot-tempered cat man who's just trying to get some sleep and has had enough of all this noise. He finds out that this party is going to last a whole year, 365 days in total, so Fred makes his presence known. Pressing a button near his computer and bringing out a storm siren, he screams at the top of his lungs like another certain gray cat. Telling these two and the whole party to keep it down over there. And these two party animals don't really want to stop their party. In fact, they're a little ticked off about Freb interrupting them. So after a small tutorial segment telling you the basic controls of the game that is really quick and even Xbox controller friendly, Freb goes outside to take a stroll in the rain to calm down, snacks on a pineapple, then goes to sleep under a tree. The next morning, the kitsune chick who goes by the name Rosa Kai bombs the heck out of Freb's castle in an attempt to try and kill him. In other shock and awe, Freb is just about to lose it until he realizes he's got nothing left to really lose now, and way more to gain in return. So Freb grabs his M202 rocket launcher and is dead set on ending this party and its host once and for all. And so the Frebbventure begins, with the first level giving you a more detailed run about how Freb moves, attacks, shoots, dodges, and whatever really. Even having a small boss at the end of the level that is, well, only has 3 attacks and one doesn't even damage you, just flicks you away so you can't cheese it, so it's a big old bird brain that isn't even a challenge. And after all that, you collect Freb's land deed and the level ends. Just to let you know, collecting an item at the end of a level with a pun associated with it is a running gag throughout most of the game. Just a little piece of effort that adds to this game's charm and soul.
Delicious!
A couple of levels later, we meet up with this game's second playable character. This is Drin, a tribal reindeer girl with water powers. So in a nutshell, she's a literal reindeer. She has less HP than Freb or any of the other characters that appear later on in the game, but she has way more movement control and ranged attacks. Her main attack lets you fly in any direction in case you screw up a landing. You even get a tutorial level of her explaining her moveset. And don't worry about her glide move, I had my problems with it at first too.
You suck!
And before I speed run through all the levels and talk about this Chad right here, I want to talk about this game's item modification system. Taking a detour off the main path, we get a little cutscene introducing us to one of the game's vendors. This is Goldtooth, the ex-pirate. Ever since Ozathoth took over the world, piracy is out and selling goods is in. With some scummy dialogue of Goldtooth asking Freb to buy some items after his house was destroyed, along with this Hawaiian roast embarrassing himself, admitting that he gave all his savings away on a donation stream to that Rose chick from earlier. Anyways, after that cutscene, we get to see what Big Salami over here is selling. That being items that modify your moveset and paint jobs that change your color scheme. For example, the Nimbus trousers increase your jump height, the Volca Volca pepper makes strange range attack into a flamethrower, and the Stegreed chest plate gives you an extra hit point. And the flower pole gives Drin a completely different melee moveset, just don't use it on a boss called El Tremolo. I'm not going to elaborate. Just don't, alright? Anyways, enough of this item stuff. Let's get back on track. Going through the events of World 1 and becoming good friends along the way, Freb and Drin 2-on-1 this King Tokum guy. Mr. Nintendo Flying Hands boss wannabe over here, who was just about to sacrifice Drin's whole tribe to the volcano, and that really doesn't go well for him now, does it?
Dinner.
After that boss battle, Drin gets congratulated by the village elder, only for Rose to fly back in her airship to deal with the water turbines until she notices that Freb is still alive. Rose tries to bomb them all, only for her fireworks show to get rained on and thunderstruck. With that attack failed, Freb is off to continue his quest, but not alone either. Drin made a deal to help him stop Ozathoth, so yoink! So the two fly off in Freb's plane only to get shot down by Bravo Squadron on the way, and crash landed in the next world of the game, the Yonderlands. And after their first level, they meet up with the game's 2 other playable characters.
Hey people.
I swear this game's not another tribal hunter, please let me continue.
Bruh.
Anyways, we get into a quick tutorial level for the flame-throwing beast and an old man with a laser gun. Roxy's gimmick is that she's a powerhouse when it comes to dealing damage with her flamethrower and other flame-based moves, but is slow to stop and not really good at making jumps. She's built like a brick and falls like one too. And then there's her handler, Mindstein, whose whole gimmick is that he's a zoner range character with a triple jump jetpack. He's kinda like Drin but less floaty and more shooty.
Man!
The reason these two joined Freb is because Mindstein used to work for Ozathoth, but left due to his own work being stunted and Ozathoth being more focused on selling an unhealthy energy drink. And with Mindstein being Roxy's handler, since she's the last of her own species, she just gets dragged along with him. Yeah, Roxy doesn't really want to be here, but whatever. Later on, Freb and the game stumble upon some motorcycle and a rare book written by some dude named Billy Bob. Mindstein nerds out about the thing until the owner of the bike and book shows up.
Get the fuck out my—
This opossum chick is named Foamy, and she's not too happy with the gang snooping around her stuff until she notices that Freb's voice sounds familiar. She heard his voice earlier when Freb was screaming at Ozathoth and thinks that he's someone mentioned in her book known as the Thunder King. Yeah, this blue guy over here totally looks like Freb.
You stupid!
Since she and the gang both don't like what Ozathoth is doing, they team up to take down his brewery. With good old American hamburger buckshot justice with explosions and the sight of opossums. We also have another vehicle level in this world where you can drive a makeshift boat tank called the Ghost Gator. It's a little finicky at first, but here's a tip when you're going through these levels for the first time. Hold down the dodge button to strafe. It helps a lot when you're aiming. And don't be afraid of spamming your barrel attack. It's really overpowered.
I knew I should have gotten the turbo.
After Freb and the gang blows up Ultrathought's brewery, though thanks to this little goober over here, Rose decides to take matters into her own hands. Along the way, we get a lore dump about how the Yonderlands used to be a highly populated city until Ocelot lasered the place to the point it became Australia too. Yeah, humans are a endangered species in Freb's world, no thanks to the alien invasion. So after fighting a giant eel, Freb admits that he's not the Thunder King to Foamy, which doesn't really matter, since he still helped her liberate the Billy Bobbers and the Yonderlands from being a giant nationwide energy drink factory. Also this. Sorry to any waifu scabs or gooners in the audience, Annabelle Foamy LaFay is taken.
Nice.
Yeah, that's her real name, by the way. Anyways, moving on. Later that night, Rose shows up and tries to bomb the gang again from her airship in a cover-based level where the main challenge is not to get spotted by her ship's spotlight, because if you do get spotted...
Tactical nuke incoming!
And in the level after that, she decides to fight the gang hand-to-hand, or sword. I love the dialogue before this fight, where we're acting like she's the good guy as she's streaming to a live audience, yapping about freedom, when in reality she's anything but a good person. I mean, she did try to burn Drin's village to the ground earlier, so yeah, nobody's falling for it, Pokemon. Go back to singing on Twitch.
You burned my house to the ground!
Hello, Mario.
Don't worry about her boss fight, though. She's an absolute joke and very easy to stagger, especially if you're using Roxy.
Flame shot!
After getting absolutely humiliated by the Freb gang, Rose charges up an energy ball DBZ style only to get bitch slapped by Freb, in result making her drop the ball, destroying the bridge they're all standing on. After a really long time falling down, the gang lands inside some abandoned tunnels that were made before Ocelot's rule. Using said tunnels, they make their way to the third world of the game, Cosmopolis. Whoa, hey. This is the part of the video where I start dropping major spoilers for this game's story, so if this game interests you in any way, shape, or form, go on Steam or itch.io. It's $12.99, so that's like $13 with added tax, and it goes on sale for even cheaper. Well, you got no excuse now, so let's go deeper, shall we? Before we can truly escape the city, Ocelot is at up to Hirokono's antics.
You ingrates! You insignificant lab rodents!
We're trying to take matters into his own hands with Freb. Instead of managing the brewery like he should have, he gets replaced by this snazzy-looking mad scientist cyborg named Kugelvang von Doomkopf. Anyways, with Mr. Beep Boop McMoonman over here putting Godot on ice, we get to the first levels of Cosmopolis. This is the part of the game where the difficulty starts to ramp up a notch, with platforming bits where you have to bounce off enemies, way more bottomless pits to fall into. Even the basic enemies are starting to pack more heat on them now too, throwing bombs and knives at you along being more light on their feet. Note to anybody who's visiting Cosmopolis, do not screw around with the people there, everybody is armed and dangerous.
Bitch!
So on the way, Meinstein and the gang stop by his old lab to pick up a secret weapon he talked about earlier, only for them to find a place completely liquidated and incinerated by Doomkopf. Blah blah blah, insert boss fight here, and then we get introduced to another one of Meinstein's friends, Dr. Drake.
Dr. Drake.
I have no idea how this dude isn't turned into a rotisserie from hiding under all that rubble that was covered in molten slag earlier, but good news! The secret weapon that they were working on, the Project Paladin, is still under development. We just gotta meet up with Meinstein's other friends, Bishop and Hilda. The bad news is, Freb and the gang gotta trek all the way to Bishop's hideout. Blah blah, chill vaporwave theme level,
Peace!
blah blah, dark alley theme level, with a boss you can only damage with his head exposed. And the game's second sewer level, where you gotta avoid these mines that will lock onto you, and no matter what you do, you can't dodge them. They will hit you, no matter what you do. I told you this game was gonna get harder. Hey, since this is another sewer level, can I do that one thing that Civvy11 does on his channel? You know, that thing.
Thank you!
After that level, we get a lore dump about how Frebb is half of the same type of alien that Ocelot is, and has a unique mutation that makes him regenerate his wounds extremely fast, making it really difficult for our villains to get rid of this fluffy banana man. Then later the gang finally meet up with Bishop and Hilda, and we get another big lore dump about how the energy drink that Ocelot makes called Turbo, yes, it's pronounced Turbo, and I got the screenies to prove it. Turbo isn't just an energy drink, it's also a type of alternative fuel having a similar properties to Nutrisome, and both are made by extracting emotional energy. The reason why Ocelot is making this endless party happen in the first place is to harvest more of this energy, literally making the planet party till it drops. This endless party idea drives Frebb crazy, so he decides to smash up the nightclub that they're hiding out in, putting another one of Ocelot's refineries to waste. This nightclub level has a little bit of a Metroidvania feel to it, even having a mini-map in the bottom right-hand corner to keep track of what speakers you need to destroy.
Hey, I am Carl from the hit game Gone 47. Check out this funny SsethTzeentach animation Easter egg. Why?
Insert another boss fight here, soon landing the gang on a public execution disguised as a Wipeout-style TV show, in a carnival-themed level with a ton of clowns trying to kill you. This theme definitely won't come back to bite me in the ass later. Eventually, Frebb and the gang find a way to escape the killer carnival, only for Rose to find them right after, with her abducting them onto her airship, the Vermilion Vixen. All I can say about the Vermilion Vixen stage is that it feels like an action-packed, fast-paced love letter to Flying Battery Zone and Sky Battalion from Freedom Planet. My words ain't going to do this stage justice, so here's a gameplay montage to do it for me instead. After destroying some bits of her ship, Rose confronts Frebb again, and guess who's back for a rematch?
1, 2, 3, Baby! Oink!
Ladies and gentlemen, the porker with the fashion sense of Johnny Bravo, Smoker, has returned. And this time he has some new tricks up his sleeves. Since you really can't damage him directly, you're gonna have to use falling packages of Turbo Chill to extinguish him. He even has a second stage to his boss fight with a built-in cutscene too.
That was easy.
With Smoker smoked for a second time, the gang is falling to their doom until Bishop arrives in his truck to rescue them. And inside the truck's trailer, we finally get introduced to Project Paladin, a robot mech suit that uncannily looks just like Frebb. Even he's surprised by its appearance.
Okay, now this is just getting weird. Did you contact me at some point about using my likeness? Did I approve?
No.
When all suited up, the next two stages feel like an absolute power trip with you controlling Robo-Frebb over here. With the first stage having you blast through hordes of enemies and even mini-bosses that you faced earlier on in the game. I mean, look at this stuff, it's amazing. After that stage is over with, the gang breaks into the main office, and before we think we made it to Ocelot, surprise! Doomcop was one step ahead of the gang and made his own Robo-Frebb. And unlike the one we're driving around in, this one's made with
Nanomachine sus!
This has to be one of my most favorite fights of the game, with the whole entire gimmick of it being Robot Doppelganger versus Robot Doppelganger. It also doesn't just mimic Frebb's attacks, it mimics Drin and Roxy's too. This little T-1000 goes all out when fighting you. Even in the second phase where it turns into a little headcrab and tries to kill Frebb from inside the suit. Like, to me, this is the most creative boss I fought in the game. Like, this one here has to be my favorite. After this fight, the robot suit gets destroyed and the gang's just about to give up at this point, with half of them just being tired and wanting to go home. But they can't give up now. They almost had Ozelot in their grasp. Freb and the gang need to track down his oversized eggplant frogman and break his kneecaps. Little does Freb know, Drake, Bishop, and Hilda found his old plane from earlier and gave it a full rework. So can you guess what the game's final world opens up with?
Well...
That's right, the final vehicle level in this game is a dogfight segment in Freb's new plane against Rose's whole air fleet. It feels a little slippery at first, but I'll take this dogfight stage over the Catbird stage in World 1 or the Ghost Gator stage in World 2 any day. Especially the Catbird stage, man, that was way too slippery. I hate that stage. Anyways, we made it to the final world of the game, Dormant Kingdom, other known as Rose's hometown. This is where the game gets even harder, we get more lore dumped onto us. We also get to meet more of Rose's family, like her youngest yet biggest sister, Porrid.
What the fuck is that thing?
That's a huge bitch!
She's dumb as a box of rocks, fights like a grizzly bear, and is also a cannibal. This is the most innocent out of her sisters, by the way. Her whole boss fight gimmick is that you can't damage her directly, so you gotta bait or push her into damaging herself with the environment. With Porrid defeated, the gang Zoo gets hexed by Rose's other sister, Majo, making Mindstein and Roxy leave due to her magic screwing with their heads. Drin doesn't get affected by it though due to her more positive and magical nature. The big gimmick of Dormant Kingdom is that the more and more we go into it, the less party members we have to use. Even more later on in the story, Drin has to leave the party too for her own safety, leaving it just to Freb to storm Akai Castle. By the way, how does anyone walk around this place without getting hurt? There's booby traps everywhere! I guess Miss Rose Akai has a very good insurance plan for all her staff. Anyways, Freb finally makes it to the top of Akai Castle and confronts Majo, who thought it'd be a very clever idea to mimic the appearance of Foamy to lower Freb's guard, but...
Begone!
Yeah, that's what you get for being a weirdo, you four-legged creep.
You're weird!
Anyways, enough of the cutscene. Let's move on to her boss fight.
Binto Barpum!
Whack his pee-pee.
Hi, how are you?
Somebody help me! Somebody help me!
I'm gonna be brutally honest here. This is coming from a guy that watches a lot of videos with acid trip level editing, and it takes a lot for me to have problems with my peepers. And this boss fight feels like complete sensory overload, and I do not mean that in a good way. With all these interdimensional creatures bouncing around, all the projectiles you gotta avoid, including Majo herself teleporting and casting these rainbow effects around the arena like it was some pride parade. I get the vibe is that she's distorting reality around, but ugh, boy, it feels like I'm on the verge of having a seizure over here. And I'm not even epileptic.
Somebody help me! Somebody help me!
All you ever do is complain.
After that horrendous laser light show is over, Majo retreats, but not before leaving Freb behind a little gift.
Bombs?
What the fuck?
Don't worry, Freb survives being atomized, I guess, due to his regenerative factor being that good. Now it really is just Freb versus the world now. Nobody else to continue to fight against Ocelot but him. Freb just storms through Ocelot's main base, zooming past guards, taking down war machines in his way. He is unstoppable. This noodle-armed yellow catman is the embodiment of too angry to die. Even Rose comes back for a rematch, using her energy bone move from earlier to absorb the power of her two sisters and Smoker. And again, her boss fight is a joke.
That new person.
It was at this moment that she knew. She fucked up.
I'm joking! Stop! That's a breakthrough!
This coconut chip is funny!
And right before we think it's over, she transforms into a more bulky brawler form, dropping the info that she was really just using Ocelot for her own goals. Rose's real name is Demorga, and who cares what she's yapping about? Her second phase is just as much of a joke as the first one. She can't even do a spirit bomb right. How embarrassing.
She fucked up.
Right after getting her face melted off from her own attack, Rose regenerates the damage she dealt to herself, and Freb goes deeper into Ocelot's fortress. Oh, and Drin comes back to help Freb too.
No.
2 stages later inside the fortress, we fight off Doomkoff and his goofy looking mech. And after Doomcop's dealt with, Mindstein and even Roxy joined back for the final fight.
Hello, Mario.
It's now or never. It's finally time to squash this egotistical eggplant. Let me tell you something. Oceloth isn't a joke like Rose, even proving it by blowing her up right before the fight. The first two phases aren't that much of a problem, but holy hand grenades, the third phase is a pain in the ass.
Howdy.
Frogface over here brings out a giant walker called the Retriplex, and it's a pain to fight. The only tips I can give here is to focus on where it's attacking and beware of the stomp attack when you're hitting its weak points on the legs. I recommend using Frebb's hammer move when you get to attack the cockpit. Also, that giant green laser attack will one-shot you. And when the Retriplex pulls that move, you better get some distance from that green laser, because when it hits the ground, it makes an earthquake effect and throws a ton of rubble in the air that will hit you if you're not careful. Anyways, 4 legs and a ton of bonks later, the Retriplex is destroyed, but Oceloth pulls out his final trump card, Turbo Ultra, the newest flavor of his energy drinks. Oceloth transforms into a 4-armed beast of himself and completely creams the Frebb gang. One by one, they all fall to the roided out eggplant. All seems lost for Frebbventure gang until he taps into his inner power, going into his own super form. Yeah, this game took a lot of inspiration from Dragon Ball in the later bits of it, didn't it?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Also, Ultra Oceloth is no joke of a fight either. Oh, what? You thought you were gonna get another power trip stage because you got a fancy smanchy super form? Nuh-uh, you gotta lock in for the last bit of this fight. Finally, after all of that, Oceloth gets the gauge ring beaten out of him and retreats as Doomcop makes a distraction for him. Frogface successfully gets away and Frebb is furious, but everyone else thinks it's about time to just head home now. Oceloth's rule on Earth has been ended, so what's there to worry about? Happily ever after, am I right?
You're wrong.
Eggplant Man has one more card up his sleeve, a giant laser cannon on the moon aimed right at Frebbventure gang. The only flaw is that it takes 2 days to charge up. Guess that's just it for Frebbventure gang. Their whole adventure was for nothing. Oceloth won in the end anyways. Well, that's if you don't do the things to unlock the true ending. Hey, you, yeah, you. There's going to be even more spoilers ahead for the true ending stuff. So you still want to be surprised by this game's story? Get it now. The link to this game's Steam and itch.io page are in the description below.
You have been warned. There is no backing out now.
If you notice in the top left-hand corner, there are these trophies. These are challenges. Almost every single level has them, minus the 2 character tutorial levels and the bonus levels. What you need to do to even unlock these bonus levels is at least do 20 challenges in each of the main game's 4 worlds. Heck, the 3rd bonus level is actually a callback to old Game Maker games. I mean, really old ones.
Ow!
Over these bonus levels, we get even more lore dumps about bits and pieces in Frebb's world and what took place before the game even happened. Like that Thunder King guy we saw earlier in the Billy Bob book. That's this alien guy named Brunner. He was locked away a long time ago by Rose in this place that she made called the Minus Prison. Simply just due to Brunner being way too powerful for Rose to defeat. Along with his posse heroes too, they're all sealed away to Minus Prison, being living batteries for Rose. Just to give more context here, that energy ball move that Rose does, that's what sends you to the Minus Prison. Being a power cell for a Twitch thought is a fate worse than death.
Yummers.
We even hear about what happened to Brunner's homeworld too, and how Oceloth found out about Earth in the first place. Surprise, it was Rose and her sisters contacting him. Anyways, after completing all the bonus levels, freeing Brunner and having one more fight with Rose, Demorga. With the gimmick being to distract her until Brunner can launch her into space, we're off to the 5th world of the game.
The moon!
That's right, we get a whole new 5th world to go through. You know, it could have been just one last boss fight with Oceloth and that'd be it, but nope, we get a whole new world just to zoom through, with a low gravity gimmick due to it being space. Shoutouts to Almy for going the extra mile. Here's his YouTube, by the way. So after a few levels of Frebbventure gang zooming around the moon, we find Oceloth again, and it's time for a rematch. It's really just the second phase of his original fight. It's not really even hard to blast through it. However, a certain someone we launched into orbit earlier has come here with us too. Guess who's back? Back again. Demo's back. She ate your friends.
Stop!
Yeah, the Morga's back, and she looks like an escaped attraction from Jurassic Park Circus. She crash-landed into a reservoir of that Turbo Ultra stuff from earlier that was meant to charge up the laser cannon, but she absorbed it all. I like to think she just took a big old silly straw and drank it all. She's also definitely not all there after this clown-like transformation. Also thought states as he's running away with his tail between his legs that all this negative energy she absorbed attracts partygoers from beyond our plane of existence. In a nutshell, Rose is possessed by an otherworldly entity beyond her comprehension and understanding.
I'm gonna kiss you!
The Morgan chases down Frebbventure as a race for him to trigger the moon base's self-destruct. And on your way you start to notice that the moon base is slowly transforming into this body horror clown nightmare. Demorga isn't just this one monster, she's becoming the base itself. Freb finally makes it to the main control panel, but he's too late. Demorga is already there. After all, she is the base now. But she decides to strike a deal with Freb. Join her by her side in Universal Conquest to have anything his heart desires, so long as he obeys her. But this is Frebbventure we're talking about. You think he's gonna kneel some Garten of Ban reject? Nah, he's had enough of Demorga's rainbow-colored bullcrap. Demorga tries to devour Freb, only for him to power up even more and get vomited right back out along with his gang. Continuing his argument with Demorga, Freb gets even more enraged, transforming into his xenomorph lizard form. He tells everyone to make it to safety right before landing a powerful blow onto Honkosaurus Rex over here. And now, we made it to the true final level. Demorga isn't even the base anymore, but now a living dwarf planet. The end-all be-all fate of the Earth is at hand. Everybody is counting on Freb winning this fight. And the only thing here that's a joke about this final boss is the first form in a clown body horror setting. Once Demorga's first form is dealt with, we get a second form and a glance of what the eldritch horror controlling that Sudi kitsune we were beefing with not too long ago really looks like. This is Demorga Keon. Rose is not here anymore, but mainly the entity that possessed her is. Also, before I get to this phase, I just want you to hear this sound it makes. Yeah, that's a modified truck horn, cause Keon hits like a truck. This is another one of those boss fights that'll put all the skills you learned over the game to the test. So again, you better lock in. After Freb defeats Keon's slender form, it remembers, oh yeah, I'm a living planet. And it lasers Freb from all sides. Freb just gets more powerful and lasers her back, splitting the clown flesh planet down the middle. Meanwhile, on the outside of the planet, Brunner and the gang were fighting off abominations and noticed Freb's energy beam. Brunner uses this distraction to hurl a chunk of the sun right into Demorga Keon's planetoid form, making her burn from the inside out. He goes inside the planet to rescue Freb before the whole thing melts away, narrowly escaping the burning insides of the core. The gang makes it back to Brunner's ship in time, but things aren't in the clear yet. Demorga Keon is still dead set on taking down Freb, launching an Armageddon-sized chunk of herself at the ship. Left with no other options, Mindstein offers to sacrifice himself. The old man's lived a good life and already had his grudge settled. And if him taking one for the team means the rest of the world gets to live on, so be it. Brunner flies the rest of the gang back to safety on Earth, and Mindstein turns the ship around, ramming the chunk right back into the sun and incinerating it. Godspeed, Mindstein. Godspeed, you old geezer. We cut to the gang mourning the loss of their friend Mindstein. Freb eventually departs for the funeral and leaves his old home of Breezy Heights in the hands of Brunner and Drin. The gang has beaten both Ocelot and Demorga. The Earth is saved. Freb hops into the back of Foamy's truck and goes with her to the Yonderlands to help her and the Billy Bobbers expand more and develop. With the two riding off into the sunset, and that's the end. We even get a heartfelt message from the dev himself for completing it all. But I'm not going to spoil that for you. You already got enough spoiled as is. You should get the game yourself and beat it yourself if you want to read it. Freeloader. Oh, but you think I'm done yet? This game has a buttload of bonus content too. Of course, this game has a boss rush mode, which I haven't completed yet or even touched that much. Oh, and a bonus challenge mode too, with you going for the game's levels with modifiers that make it a little more harder for you. You can even unlock extra characters you can only play in the bonus mode. There's 8 extra characters in total, and how you unlock them all is that you complete a level 8 run on each of the game's main 4 worlds. I was asked to do a tier list for this video, and here it is. By the way, Doomcough sucks. Also, a special little bonus is that after unlocking all the characters, you get an extra secret character too. I'm just gonna blur them out here and let you guess who they really are. Hey, at least we got all these extra characters on launch instead of having to wait a long ass time for one extra character. Pizza Tower!
You suck!
There's even little bios about the characters and areas you've been through all the game, and even the enemies get some info on them as well. Well, most of the enemies anyway.
Who even are you? Who do you think you are?
And the whole main 4 have something to say about all the enemies too. Freb gives tips about dealing with these goons, Drin gives some cute and light commentary, Mindstein nerds out about them and how they work, and Roxy talks about, well, eating them. Cause that's what she does. Man, I hate they live in a post-internet world where people look at a Yoshi-like character, then some tard comes out of the woodworks and says, "Writer's barely this guy's finish!" Okay, so enough sucking his game's knob. Let's talk about some of my problems with it, though. Well, to say this game suffers from my first game syndrome is an understatement. There are just some tiny bits that feel unpolished, and you can clearly see parts of the game's early development still there. I've had my moments of encountering spikes that don't hurt you, or this one bit in the Yonderlands where I found an extra challenge gem floating around, or even this bit where I clipped into a wall. Don't worry, most of the time these bugs happen, it's very rare. I also felt Mindstein just felt a little bit redundant in my opinion. This point will be more subjective due to the whole game's gimmick of switching out to a character that can breeze through a level more easier than another one could. Freb is a great all-rounder, Drin is a speed machine, and Roxy is a boss killer. And they all have their own flaws. Drin has less HP but has better platforming, and Roxy falls like a brick. And then we got this old man that has a triple jump and is a zoner. But hey, if Phil mainly played as Drin for his playthrough and I was Roxy maxing in mine, maybe there is someone out there who mains Mindstein. But that's really all my gripes about Frebbventure. It's not a perfect game, but you can tell the person behind us poured a lot of soul into this rather than making it style over substance slop just for the sake of it. But before I end this video, I am still not done yet. It's time for a little theory. Hello Internet! Welcome to Thread Theory. Today we're going to be talking about the horrifying monstrosity known as the Morgakion. Could it still be alive after Frebbventure? Now, you might be thinking, but Silver? We saw her get burnt into space dust at the end of the game. She's turbo dead! Okay, yeah, her main planetoid form is dead, but she did throw a large chunk of herself at the gang's ship as they were escaping. So, what's to say that there still isn't a piece of her out there? Right before the gang leaves, Ocelot's escape pod is still on board a flesh planet.
It's right here, huh?
So, who's to say that the Morgakion didn't sneak a little piece of herself on the Ocelot ship and crash land that thing back to Earth? And that she's still out there somewhere, regenerating, trying to gain back some of her strength and make a comeback later on. Or maybe they were originally supposed to be on Ocelot's escape pod, but only was too lazy to make another sprite, completely destroying my theory in the first place. Or maybe they just used the engine parts to fix Brunner's ship, meaning that Ocelot's pod was probably still on board. Cause who really needs engines to enter the Earth's atmosphere anyway? I truly don't know. That'll be answered in the game's eventual sequel, Frebbventure Alliance. Also, keep your eyes out for another project Almy's working on called Irma. It would be out now, but yeah, the game has a lot of bugs to iron out. Anyways, if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe. If you hate this video, leave a dislike. I've been SF1232, and go get Frebbventure already. I'm not asking anymore. This is a threat.
Peekaboo!